1. Hook, ever wondered how to set up AWS for your startup with just 10 users? Stick around, and I'll show you a practical architecture design that scales, saves you money, and keeps it simple. 2. The real problem: many startups dive into cloud architecture without a clear plan. You need a tailored approach that fits your specific needs, especially when you're starting small. 3. The simple explanation: scalability, cost efficiency, and ease of management. Your goal is to create a structure that supports growth without overwhelming complexity. Scalability: choose services that can grow with you. Cost efficiency: only pay for what you use. Ease of management: simplify operations so your team can focus on building the product. 4. Real-world example: let's look at a fictional startup called TechNest. They launched a project management tool aimed at small teams. Initially, they had 10 users, but in 6 months, they grew to 100 users. A single EC2 instance, an RDS database, and S3 for storage. Initial setup cost: about $50 per month for the EC2 instance and $15 per month for RDS. Traffic: initially, they had 50 requests per hour, but this surged to 500 requests per hour as they scaled. The problem? Their single EC2 instance couldn't handle the load. It went down during peak hours, frustrating users and risking their reputation. They realized they needed a more robust architecture. By the end of their redesign, they settled on an architecture that included an auto-scaling group, a load balancer, and a multi-OS RDS setup. This improved uptime and allowed them to handle up to 1,000 requests per hour without a hitch. 5. What to do instead: here's how to design your AWS architecture for a 10-user startup. Step 1. Define your needs. Identify your key use cases. For example, will you be processing data, hosting a website, or both? Estimate your user growth. Assuming you'll grow to 100 users in the next year is a good starting point. Step 2. Choose the right services. Compute: use Amazon EC2 for flexibility. Start with a T3.micro instance for development, then scale to T3.medium for production as your user base grows. Database: use Amazon RDS with PostgreSQL or MySQL. Start with a DB.T3.micro instance. Use multi-OS for high availability as you grow. Storage: utilize Amazon S3 for object storage. Set up lifecycle policies to keep costs low. Step 3. Set up networking. Create a VPC with public and private subnets. Place your EC2 instance in a private subnet for security. Use an application load balancer to distribute traffic evenly across instances. Step 4. Implement security measures. Use IAM roles and policies to grant permissions only as needed. Set up security groups to control inbound and outbound traffic. Step 5. Monitor and optimize. Use AWS CloudWatch for monitoring. Set alarms for CPU usage and request rates. Review AWS Cost Explorer monthly to adjust resources. Step 6. Plan for scaling. Implement auto-scaling groups. Set a minimum of 2 instances for redundancy and a maximum of 5 based on demand. Configure scaling policies based on CPU utilization. For example, scale out when CPU greater than 70% and scale in when CPU less than 30%. 6. Common mistakes. 1. Ignoring security using default settings for security groups. Customize security groups to only allow necessary traffic. 2. Over-provisioning resources starting with large instance types. Begin with the smallest instance type and scale as needed. 3. Neglecting backups. Failing to set up backups for your database. Enable automated backups in RDS and regularly test restore procedures. 4. Not monitoring costs. Letting costs spiral out of control without tracking. Set up billing alerts in AWS to notify you when costs exceed a specific threshold. 5. Skipping documentation. Not documenting architecture and changes. Keep a shared document updated with your architecture, configurations, and decisions. 7. Quick checklist. Define user needs and growth potential. Choose AWS services. Set up VPC and security measures. Implement monitoring and alerts. Prepare for scaling with auto-scaling groups. 8. Summary plus CTA. Designing AWS architecture for a 10-user startup is about being smart and strategic. Focus on scalability, costs, and management to set yourself up for success. Remember the common mistakes and use the checklist to keep you on track. If you found this video helpful, comment below with your questions or experiences, and don't forget to subscribe for more practical guides on cloud engineering. Bonus practical tip: if you're unsure what to pick, start with the simplest option that ships today. Then measure for 7 days, latency, errors, deploy time, and cost. Only upgrade when metrics force the decision, not fear. Quick recap: keep it simple, avoid over-engineering, and build the smallest thing that works. If you want a real demo or checklist, comment demo. Subscribe for practical AWS, DevOps, Docker, and Kubernetes lessons.